Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It has been some time since I have made a video here. It's been a couple weeks. I've needed this time desperately to take care of myself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all the above. I've needed this time. I'm okay. I'm back. I guess I should acknowledge the Michael Jordan. Anyway, I'm back. I don't need well wishes. Everyone's got problems. You guys have got your own. I just want to tell you guys, I just want to let you know that the content's going to be back. The streams are going to be back. We are going to be back. First video that I need to make. This is an important one. This really is an important one, and it's been weighing on me for the past few days. I just went home for the holidays, had a spectacular Christmas with my family and loved ones, and it was great. But I'll be honest with you guys, I spent a little bit too much time arguing with Blackhawks fans on Twitter. I'll be honest, way too much time doing it. And many of these people are like, they hide behind aliases. Like, I was getting into it with that Bill Wirtz account, who like sometimes is funny, but is generally just a negative, pessimistic brat complaining about things. And that's a very similar trend amongst a lot of these other like burner account type Blackhawks accounts that claim to be analysts, don't provide any sort of real value, don't actually know what they're talking about. Like the fire Jamie Faulkner, the Jamie Faulkner's a war criminal. Actually, I just think I made that one up. Jamie Faulkner, war criminal, would be a good Twitter account if it isn't already. These people, which I don't even know why I'm doing them the service of calling them people, because they're not. They're hiding behind burners. They don't count. They're not even real people, but they get under my skin so much. You guys know, if you guys watch the streams, you guys know how passionate I am about this stuff, and you also know how easily rage baited I am, and it's just been getting under my skin. But I'm not the only one. I've seen within the past couple days, guys like Scott Powers and Ben Pope, you know, people who cover the team, beat reporters for the Chicago Blackhawks, writing articles, addressing people on Twitter. The Blackhawks fandom, the Blackhawks fan sphere, specifically on social media, specifically on Twitter, have been losing their minds. And that's because the Chicago Blackhawks have lost their last 6 games in a row since the Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar injuries. The team has just had nothing going for it offensively, and it shouldn't be surprised. You lose your 1 and 2C, especially you factor in how much the percentage of offense that Connor Bedard alone has contributed to this team this year. He accounts for quite literally 50% of the offense, so obviously the team is going to struggle without him. And then you lose your 2C2, which I've seen a bunch of criticism on Frank Nazar over the past week or so, because, you know, he had that 21-game stretch without scoring. He dealt with a couple injuries, whatever. He gets injured again. You feel bad for him. The reality is he's still the second-line center, playing over 18 minutes a night, playing valuable time on the penalty kill, playing on the power play as well. When you lose that after losing your 1C, all of a sudden you have no depth down the middle, and probably the most important position in the game. You're not going to have success. But for me, that hasn't even been the frustrating part, because I understand getting upset over losses. I understand, like, you know, you wanted to see progress this year and the team's back at the basement of the NHL, all the way in last place, and it sucks, and I agree. Like, I don't love watching these games either, but so much of the criticism, so much of the complaining has been about, we've been in this rebuild for 4 years. I was in an argument with a guy that said we were in this rebuild for 10 years, which is like, 10 years? They won a Stanley Cup 10 years ago. What are you talking about? They've been in, that's nonsensical. Anyway, I digress. People have been very critical of the general manager, Kyle Davidson, of the length of this rebuild. People are concerned that it's never going to pan out. People are concerned that there's been no progression, that this is the same team as 4 years ago. Don't say that. It drives me nuts. That has been a very common theme, a shared sentiment on social media recently amongst Blackhawks fans, is that this team is not improved at all in 4 years. Go back and look at that 2022 team. I didn't even, I like barely even watched that team. It was so bad. Max Domi had the most points on the team that year. It was like Jared Tenorti and Jujhar Khaira. Joey Anderson played like 25 games that year. Joey Anderson has gotten significantly better since then and has not played a second in the NHL this year. Don't tell me these teams are the same. Don't tell me these teams are the same, man. It drives me crazy, and it's total like TikTok brain, like the need for instant gratification. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to like come off like I'm lecturing my entire audience. I know that many of you who watch this channel regularly, who are with me in the streams, a lot of us share very same views on this team, on the rebuild, the progress that's been made. So I know a lot of you, a large contingent of the people watching this video are in complete agreement of me. But I'm really going to rage kind of a little bit at those other guys, at these other people who seem to not have any sort of patience, who seemingly have short-term memory loss, who seemingly cannot use any sort of foresight to see what's being built. Like they just see the here and now. We're in last place, and that's how it's going to be forever. We're the Buffalo Sabres. Chalk it up. We're cooked. And it's delusion. It's insane. And so I want to come on here and take a look around the league a little bit and see kind of what the meta is going to be going forward when you're building a team, if you're trying to build a contender. I also want to take an inventory of what the Chicago Blackhawks have, because if you listen to some of these, burner types on Twitter that are just like criticizing all the young prospects in the system and criticizing the build of the team and criticizing the general manager, you would think that this team is in the same boat as like the Vancouver Canucks or like the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Seattle Kraken or the Nashville Predators. Like some of these teams that just like don't really have any present. They don't really have any future. You don't know what direction they're going. The Blackhawks have a very clear direction in which they are going. They have been drafting players. They have been rebuilding through the draft over the past 3 or 4 years, and we've been seeing it come into play over the past 2 seasons, more specifically this year. And so, I say that some people have short-term memory loss. To say that this team is not improved in 4 years is insane. Where were you guys in the first month and a half of the season when this team was in a wild card spot, when this team was competing night in and night out, beating good teams, playing close games, playing exciting, fun to watch hockey? Where were these people? Hello? We saw the progression. When this team was healthy, they were a good, not great. They were a good hockey team this year when they were healthy. We saw it. We saw it for a sustained, whatever it was, 20, 25 games. We saw it. Where were these people then? Because I'll tell you guys what, like I've been covering this team on this channel this whole year. Views were doing a lot better then. People were excited then. Do they forget about that? You get a couple injuries, you get a slew of losses because you're missing your 2 most important forwards, and you just forget all of that? Like when I look at this season, when I look at these injuries, this is undeniably the perfect scenario for how this season could have gone. This team was not going to make playoffs. I was pretty consistent on that topic this entire year on this channel. Even when things were going really well and they were like almost in the third spot in the Central Division, I maintained the fact that I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. This year was all about progression. That was all we wanted to see, was progression in the development of young players. And we saw it in spades all throughout the lineup, not just with Connor Bedard. We saw it. We all saw it. It was there. And now these guys get injured, and now you're going to have the opportunity to draft inside the top 3. So when you look at this year, you see the progression, you saw the steps that were made, and then you also get to draft in, a top 5, top 3 pick. That is a total win, and people are completely losing their minds. It's insanity to me. I don't get how you can't just be like, look around, and you look around the NHL right now too, with the landscape of the league changing so much. People are like, what did you want to do? Go give Brock Besser $1 billion or Nick Ehlers $1 billion to play on a line with Connor Bedard? Sure, man, it could have been fun. It would have been a little fun. Is Nick Ehlers getting you closer to a Stanley Cup? Is Nick Ehlers going to be the needle mover? Really? Is that your Marian Hossa type Nick Ehlers? Really? So when I see people being overly critical of Kyle Davidson, it kind of just boggles my mind a little bit because I so clearly see the landscape of the NHL changing over the next 2-3 years because of the shooting salary. The salary cap is going so high. The salary cap is going so high to the point where every single team has money. And what that means is when everyone's rich, no one's rich, right? Free agents, big name, big fish free agents aren't hitting the markets anymore because every single team has that extra couple $1 million to give the superstar to keep them around and to keep them happy. You're not going to bring in a needle mover through free agency. It's just not going to happen. You can try to get your hopes up. It's just, things have changed. Things have changed, and I know people will talk about the Florida Panthers, and they did a lot of their work through trades, but like we saw it this summer. It was a boring summer. There wasn't a ton of transactions. There weren't a ton of crazy signings. Like so many of the acquisitions that Florida made were in like 2020, 2021. You know what the salary cap was in 2021? It was like $81 million. Do you know what the salary cap's going to be in 2028? I actually don't even know, but I know that the floor is going to be like $83 million fucking dollars. The cap floor in 2028 will be higher than the cap ceiling in 2021. That is drastically going to change the way you can build a team. And so it's very clear that the new asset in the NHL is going to be players. It's not going to be salary cap space. It's going to be players. It's going to be futures assets, things that the Chicago Blackhawks have tons of. Right? You're not going to be able, like teams like the Washington Capitals. That was a really fun rebuild on the fly. It was. I thought the Capitals were completely cooked. They bring in guys like Chychrun and Dylan Strome and Pierre-Luc Dubois. They, some of these like odd man out kind of guys. They bring them together. They bring in like a new exciting young coach. It's awesome. The team's competitive. Ovi gets his goal record. They're in the playoffs. They're going to be in the playoffs for the next few years. They're competitive again. But let me tell you guys something. The Washington Capitals aren't winning a Stanley Cup. They're not. That team's not good. It's not even going to be close, dude. Sure, they might win a playoff round or two, but that team doesn't have enough to win a Stanley Cup, and they're not going to. Because this rebuild on the fly shit, it doesn't work, and it's especially not going to work in this new cap structure. Rebuilding through the draft is going to be the new meta. The teams that are going to run the league for the next 15 years are the teams who stripped it down. The Chicago Blackhawks, the San Jose Sharks, the Anaheim Ducks, the Montreal Canadiens. These are going to be the big dogs that are going to be running shit for a while. And so the Vancouver Canucks can try a cute little, rebuild on the fly, and we'll see how that works for them. I have a feeling that a Stanley Cup's not going to be coming to Vancouver anytime soon. That kind of segues me to my next point, is like, I only care about a Stanley Cup. Like, I only care about winning a Stanley Cup. And so that's kind of what I question some of these fans on Twitter that are like losing their minds that the Blackhawks haven't gone after big fish in either free agency or trades. And it's like, what do you guys want? Like, you want playoff hockey, you want to win a round and then get bounced in the second. You want a competitive team for a few years, the instant gratification, regular season wins, a competitive team. But at what cost? Like, are you going to take that over a Stanley Cup win? And so it makes me wonder, like, are these people who are clamoring for this stuff? It's like, how long have you been a Blackhawks fan? Because I'm 25, I'm unk, but I'm not super old, but I remember the wins. I remember 2010. I remember 2013. I remember 2015. When I think back on the Dynasty Hawks, when I think about those great memories, I think about the Stanley Cup wins. I don't think about the first 3 rounds in 2014 because they ended up losing. Like, I don't care. It doesn't, like, as a fan, all you want is a ring. I have 3 rings. I want my 4th. I don't care about anything else. I would sit through 10 more years of misery if it guaranteed a Stanley Cup in that 11th year. I would, because when I look back on my life, when I look back on that era of Blackhawks hockey, I don't remember playoff wins. I don't remember regular season moments. I remember them lifting Lord Stanley in 2010, 2013, and 2015. I could tell you exactly where I was, who I was with, what I was doing, what I was thinking those nights when my head hit the pillow at the end of the night. I could tell you all that stuff. And that is stuff I will take to my grave. And so no, I don't really care about making the playoffs in this year or next year. Like, I don't care about, oh, we need a competitive team. We've sat through this through too long. There are NHL fans who have lived they have lived full lives and died and never saw their team win a Stanley Cup. I saw 3 in 5 years. I saw this team get to the Western Conference Finals, 6 times in 8 years or whatever it was? I am a spoiled, rotten little piggy. All right? I can wait. I can be patient because I have 3 rings. I have 3 rings, and when you have 3 rings, you don't care about playoffs. You care about another ring, and that's all I care about. That's all I care about. And so yes, I see what's being built. This is time for Blackhawks inventory now. When people say this nonsense that oh my gosh, you need 4 more big pieces. Bedard needs help. This team is nowhere near as good. This team is not better than 4 years ago. I look around. I see you have a true bona fide elite top tier number 1 goaltender in Spencer Knight, who's only 24 years old. He's gonna that's 21 in goal years. He's gonna be a dog for the next decade plus. A true number 1 goaltender. You've got at the very least, a serviceable backup in Drew Comesso, also a younger guy coming up in the ranks through Rockford right now. I look at a blue line who at the start of the year, we were playing with 7 defensemen, 5 of which were all under the age of 24. I see big bodies who can move the puck, who can skate very well, skate out of pressure, get the puck up the ice. They've all taken strides offensively, contributing, getting up in the rush. And it's not just those 5. There's 3 to 4 guys in Rockford right now, in the D-corps in Rockford, that are all looking like they're going to be NHL caliber defensemen. You've got 8 or 9 defensemen that are gonna be NHL caliber guys. And so when I see this, the Blackhawks haven't improved, what are you talking about? They've got 8 or 9 defensemen that are all going to be NHLers. You're only going to need 6 of them. You can trade the rest. Those are assets. And then I look at the forward crew, which, by the way, Kyle Davidson built this thing from back to front, right? He worried about the defense first. He drafted the defense first. So we've seen the defense. The defense has come into the fold. They've already made an impact at the NHL level. Both sides. You got big guys on the right side. You got big guys on the left side. The forward group has been, kind of more of the work in progress that you've seen Kyle Davidson draft over the past 1 or 2 drafts. And so we're still waiting on all these guys. We're still waiting on 50% of the forward core that we've drafted, right? But you've already got guys you've got the franchise centerman. You've got a franchise number 1 center, and one of the most important things for a Stanley Cup winner is that you have a true number 1 center, a superstar first-line center. Go back and look at the past 20 Stanley Cup champions. Outside of the St. Louis Blues a few years ago, every single Stanley Cup champion has had a superstar 1C, and the Blackhawks have that in Connor Bedard. They also have Frank Nazar as a very, very solid number 2 center. People question his size and stuff like this. Sam Bennett. Oh yeah, Sam Bennett, the 2C on the back-to-back champs of the Florida Panthers. Sam Bennett's a massive guy. Sam Bennett is huge, right? Oh my gosh, yeah, Sam Bennett. Just absolute monster Sam Bennett. He's so big. Frank Nazar is more than good enough to be a 2C. And then you got guys like Ryan Green, who's probably going to end up being a 3C, very reliable two-way center. You got this young talent, these speedy guys. You got guys like Oliver Moore, who, at worst is going to be a middle six depth player, right? You've got guys like Nick Lardis, who's just making his way to the NHL, who's got that absolute rocket of a one-timer. I think he's going to be a solid NHL scorer. We'll see how he develops. You've got guys like Colton Dock, who are going to be grinders, mean, physical, north-south guys in your bottom six. You've got so many of these guys coming into the fold, and then you're still waiting on your third overall pick from last year, Anton Frendel, who looked pretty sweet in the first game of the World Juniors today. He was player of the game, had a goal and a primary assist. That guy's looking pretty damn good. He's going to be a top 6 player. You've got Roman Kanserov, who's leading the KHL in goals right now. You've got Sasha Boisvert, who's another guy that, could play center, play on the wing, a depth guy. You've got Vaclav Nestrasil, who's been absolutely lighting it up at UMass. Maybe might be a year ahead of schedule. Big body. You got Mason West, another big body, maybe more of a project, but a big body nonetheless. I just don't get how you can't see what's being built. Even if they're one or two pieces away, they have so many young players that they can piece together and trade for whatever that top 6 piece that you're going to need down the line is, right? Because that's going to be the new asset. It's going to be young players. It's not going to be cap space anymore. The Blackhawks are going to have all the assets to make the trades when they want to, but why would you do it now if you've only seen 50% of the forward group? Let all these guys arrive, and then you can start being critical. Once everyone's here, then, go crazy. Knock your socks off. Be critical. Talk about this guy's not good enough. This guy's bad at this. This guy's bad at that. We need more of this and less of this. Do that then. But when I see people just harping on being overly critical of 18-year-old prospects who haven't even come into the fold, when I see people talking about this forward group that's been built by Kyle Davidson, this is not the forward group that Kyle Davidson has been putting all of his time and energy into. It's not arrived yet. We're still waiting on it. Once it gets here, that's when you can make the complaints. But when I see it happening now, it grinds my gears. I think that's pretty much it. I know I've ranted for quite a bit. Look, Blackhawks fans, and now this is for my viewers who kind of agree with me on this stuff and who aren't panicking and really see what's being built and really believe in the future of this team. We're not far out. When I see people say stuff like 3 to 5 years, that's absurd. This team at the start of the year is so far from the finished product. And when they were healthy, they were a wild card team. It's not going to take 3 to 5 years. If anybody tells you it's going to take 3 to 5 years, they don't know ball. I can almost guarantee you that this team is going to be a playoff team next year, barring an injury that keeps Spencer Knight or Connor Bedard out of the regular season for, more than 3 weeks. Barring that happening, I can almost guarantee you this team is a playoff team next year. I really do believe that. The light at the end of the tunnel is getting closer and closer. This team is going to be a dominant powerhouse for a decade plus, and we're only a year out. We're only a year or so out. So just have a little bit more patience. Talk a little shit to the people on social media that are losing their minds and have TikTok brains and need the instant gratification because they're babies. They're literally acting like, I need it now! It's They're children. They're little babies. Don't be a baby, right? Be an adult. Recognize what just happened at the start of the year. Recognize how positive the improvement was at the start of the year. And recognize all the talent that is entering the forward group over the next 9 months. It's all going to be okay. The Blackhawks are going to be a wagon, and we're all going to be here for it. And it's going to be beautiful. We're not that far out. My light just died. I think that's perfect timing. I will see you guys later. I'm going to put this out tomorrow. Whatever. I don't know. Streams are coming. Be on the lookout. Follow me on X so you know when I'm going live and when videos are out and such. But with that, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out and go Blackhawks.